We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to a Right Side Patriots special report on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
And Right Side Patriots is on the air. I'm Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot, along with my partner and friend Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor. And folks, I know you're not accustomed to hearing Right Side Patriots live on the air at this hour of a Thursday night, but today is July 10th, and we have had breaking news all over CPR. What you're about to hear is going to shock you, it's going to surprise you, it's going to light your hair on fire. This has been quite a day for CPR staff and management, and folks, we thought we were living in America. Apparently, we're not. Diane, it's been one hell of a ride today.
Absolutely. It started yesterday, and it got worse as the hours went by during today. And folks, be prepared for what we're going to tell you, because America has changed.
This has been a wild ride, and we're going to introduce right now at the top of the show a very special guest tonight. Luckily, still a free man. We're going to introduce to you Michael Collins-Windsor. He is the CEO of CPR Radio. And Michael, you have been ground zero today.
It's been an interesting day, all day long, since a little before 9:30 this morning.
Now,
can I say one thing just so people understand? Michael is not only the head of CPR Radio, he is, by the time the show is over, he is America's hero. He's our hero. He is America's hero.
You know, let's jump right into this from where it began, guys. When Diane and I brought Right Side Patriots to the radio, to CPR, We did this, our very first show, in late February of this year. We were hacked and knocked off the air in that very first show. Now, we found out where that came from, and it was an internet cafe in the Dominican Republic, of all places. And Diane, much later, a couple of months later, we found out who owns that internet cafe.
Yes, are you ready for this, people? It's Barack Hussein Obama's half-brother, Malik, the same one who is the secretary of Dawa, the Islamic organization, supposedly a charity organization, that Lois Lerner herself gave 501c3 status to during the time of the missing emails.
Now, Michael, over the months that we've been on the air, we have been a source of great aggravation to you and to a number of members at the CPR management team, because every time we open microphones, we get hacked, we get attacked. Now, several months later, and I'm skipping a lot of the hacks and attacks here, folks, but several months after this, or a couple of months, I guess, after this, Diane and I did an expose, both in her blog, thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com, and my blog, thenationalpatriot.com, where we exposed the truth of Benghazi. And we're going to get into that in just a little bit here, and we're going to tell you a little bit about what that entailed. But Michael, it was, a week, maybe a week and a half after that, you wound up with some very serious vandalism and threats.
Yeah, I had gone to the hospital to check on some test results, and my car was parked on the 7th floor of the parking deck. There are several parking decks in that area, and I was in a parking deck that was pretty close, actually across the street from the doctor's office. And I left the car, I went over there, and I was gone. But when I came back, on my Range Rover, the tires were slashed, and that car had been keyed from one side, profanity keyed on it, and there was, I mean, it was horrible. I mean, it was horrible. It did $8,000 worth of damage to the vehicle. All right. Also, there was a note that was placed there on the vehicle, right there on the windshield, and it basically stated that this was a warning to me and my Snoopy reporters, and that if it did not stop, more than my tires could get slashed. The police came, okay, and the insurance company came, photos were taken, the car had to be towed and everything, and there were films that were taken from the security cameras. They were seized by the police department. A few days later, they were seized by people who presented themselves as the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
So those security camera images that were taken, they did not show a license number, but they did show two people that were engaged in vandalizing your vehicle and leaving that note on the car, but both of those people had their faces covered, right?
Right. But one of the guys, though, one of the guys had on these hoodie masks. You know what? It's got the little ski mask with the eyeballs in it. Right. And the other guy had the big, kind of chunky, tall, bald-headed guy. He had a bandana across his mouth. I mean, I know this sounds cloak and dagger, but this is how it was. But they both had on black gloves. They were in a Toyota, an expensive Toyota sports car. They did the damage. The little shorter, skinny guy is the one that was doing the slashing the tires, and took the note out of his pocket, put it on the windshield. The big guy was the one that was doing all the car keying.
Now, shortly after that, a couple of people with badges and some identification showed up at your bank.
Yes, and they were demanding bank records, and the bank that not only that I use, but also that the bank that we use for CPR, they were demanding these records. They were told that they had to have the proper paperwork to it, which the federal government, they can get into anybody's bank records they want to. So I don't even know why this even happened. But we were called by the bank, and told this this took place.
I mean, folks, this is America, okay? We're exercising our right to free speech, and these are the results. This should absolutely leave you shocked and dismayed. Now, Diane, all the while that this is going on, you and I are continuing to write articles for our respective blogs. We're continuing to do shows. We continue to get attacked. And then one day on a Saturday, it was on a Sunday. It was on a Sunday. You and I are chatting on Skype, and Michael pops in to tell us that all of a sudden CPR has no license authorizing us to play music.
Yes, and folks, this is just a lead-in. Don't think this is the story by any means.
No, we are just scratching the surface here, but we need to let you know what took place before what happened today so that you have a basis of understanding for what went on. Now, the license company, and this is a little inside radio here for you folks. If you're going to do radio and you're going to play music and you're going to do it by legal standards, you have to be licensed. You have to pay certain fees. And this is how musicians make money in this day and age, is by streaming fees. Now, Michael, you found an email. You get up on Sunday morning, you find an email, and the owner of the license company had FBI in his home on a Saturday night.
Yeah, the night before. And they stayed there 6 hours in his home. And we were he was told that we are possible threats to national security. I'm a possible terrorist. It was ordered and demanded of him that he pull our license. He sent me an email to let me know. All right, had I not happened to we had some problems with people being able to get on air the next day, because the way it works is our stream goes through the licensing company so they can count the songs, send them to, the royalties to the right artists, so and so, and count sessions fees, whatever. And people were having trouble. So I go over there and I found out that our license had been invalidated. Okay, and so I contacted them, and we were down for 5 days before we got our license back.
Now, here's the thing, folks. They show up at this guy's house at 8:30 at night. They don't leave until 2:30 in the morning. And they were, from what he was telling us, they were making threats. They were threatening his business. They were threatening him with the IRS, with audits, with all sorts of things. They literally threatened to take his business away from him. This is our federal government, folks.
Yes, federal government in action.
It's astounding when you think about it. I mean, absolutely astounding. Now, Michael, this was not the only time that they pulled the license. Isn't that right?
That's correct. Our license was pulled again this past week, and but we were only down for 2 hours. What we have found out through attorneys for both the licensing company, also CPR's attorneys, and actually from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, that these are supposedly rogue elements of it. It's like the FBI working within the FBI. It's like two separate agencies. All right, the FBI in a larger town close to us, they could not even get into the file at first, and then whenever they finally break it, the file was deleted. The file had been deleted. All right, we have been on top of this thing ever since our license was pulled, and we've been keeping up with it. The attorneys have kept us up. This is the thing that we were told by the Justice Department. We are not licensed as an internet radio station. We're not an FM or an AM station. So we are not regulated by the FCC. We are regulated through DMCA rules. And the only thing that you cannot do through that is you cannot threaten someone's life or threaten bodily harm to anyone. But we can say anything we want to on air.
Now, here's the thing, folks, and this is what you got to keep in mind. We're talking about things that are happening right here at CPR and to our CEO, Michael Collins-Windsor, who is our guest tonight. But you've got to understand, these are things that can happen to each and every single American citizen under this regime. What we have here is a regime gone rogue, and America is in the balance. If you choose to speak out, speak up, exercise your First Amendment right to freedom of expression, these very things that are happening right now to CPR could be happening to you. This is the America we now live in, folks.
And
this is frightening.
people forget also, and I forgot it for a while, that last year a bill was passed that you're not allowed to say anything against this president within 30 feet of an FBI or a government agent. In other words, you better not say one bad word about the president or they'll arrest you, they'll harass you, they'll come after your families. This has gotten ridiculous. Since when has Americans not been allowed to criticize those in power?
It's part of the framework of our nation. It's part of the very foundation of this country that we have the right to speak our minds, to express ourselves. And now what we have is a government entity trying to shut that down. They're trying to shut CPR down. And folks, I'm telling you right now, they will try to shut you down too. If they're successful in shutting us up, they will move on to you. This is the way this regime is working. It's absolutely mind-boggling, but wait until you hear the things that took place today, and we're going to get into that here in a little bit, trust me. But Michael, throughout all of this, the attacks on the station continued. Every time Diane and I went on the air, whether it be our regular Wednesday show or our Saturday show, we were getting attacked. Now, we were able to track some of those hits, some of those cyber attacks. Tell us a little bit about where some of those were coming from.
All right, there were three in particular that were very, very interesting. Number one, the first one that we found, it looked like it was coming out of it from a school, an elementary school in Connecticut. Then we found out that was just a bogus, they were bouncing their IP all over the place. Then it went back to California, to a town in California, and it went to a mall in California. Then from that, it went to a hospital complex, and then in the middle of this hospital complex, there's supposed to be a medical center right there that we have screenshots and photos of this medical center. However, this is supposed to be a hospital, but there's no cars ever around it, maybe just one or two here and there. Okay, and there were no cars with the aerial photos that were taken on a Saturday. How many hospitals do you know that don't have cars around it on a Saturday? And it is not a real hospital. It says it is, but it's not. That was one instance. Then we found another one that kept hitting us during your show. All right, and this was the show after the Benghazi show. That it was from in the middle of a field in Kansas. The middle of a plowed field.
Now, you got to understand, folks, in the middle of a field in Kansas, there was a small little, what looked like a red building. It's a plowed field, and in the middle, a small red building. That's where that particular hit was coming from. Now, if that doesn't raise some red flags and some eyebrows, I don't know what will. But, Michael, the next one was even odder than the field in Kansas.
It came directly, we got the screenshots of where the IP address was located, 420 miles off the coast of Spain in the Atlantic Ocean.
Now, Diane, that
Yes.
was on a Saturday. Now,
You forgot one very important thing. The U.S. government had ships at that location.
That's
at
what
that
I was
time.
getting to. That's what I was
Okay.
getting to. This happened on a Saturday. Diane, you and I, being the Snoopy reporters that we are reported to be, we decided to do some investigations. And we get on the internet. Diane's doing her thing. I'm doing my thing. We found elements of the U.S. Second Fleet 420 miles due west of the coast of Spain.
Yes. Yes. And that is amazing, folks. That means the attacks on CPR were coming from our people.
Now,
Very
Michael,
scary.
weren't we able to also identify some of the IP, not all of them, but some of them as being government sources?
Yes, we were. And, well, number one, the one with the hospital complex was definitely. With the first IPs, when y'all's first show, as you do know, we tracked that back to an internet cafe, and we found out who owns that internet cafe, which was the president's brother that owns that particular internet cafe in the Dominican Republic. Now, between another staff member at CPR and the two of you, all right, we were able to trace all of these IP addresses, and this is just 3 instances. Now, we have what is called a C panel or control panel that runs the radio station. Now, at all times, there are 5 IP addresses that show up on that C panel. All the rest of them are in white. The rest of them on a black page. The rest of these other 5 are in red. And when you click on any one of these red IP addresses, it states, for official government usage only, you are not authorized to view this information. And they are on there right this minute.
Diane, what do you think? NSA?
Don't we say hello to the NSA every time we start our show? We know we're being monitored. We know we're being stalked. This is paramount to stalking, folks. All we are doing is getting the truth out. We are not violating the First Amendment. We are not insinuating anyone promote any violence. We are not speaking about the overthrow of the government. We are following the law of the U.S. Constitution. And for that, we're being penalized because we do not agree with this regime. This regime thinks they're above the people. This regime forgets they work for we the people. We the people do not work for them.
Now, in the few minutes we have left in this segment of the show tonight, I want to get into that Benghazi piece, and I want to brush up against that. Now, after this show is over, in about another hour and 40 minutes, we are going to rebroadcast the Benghazi show that we did where all of this really, really got started, folks. But Diane, let's kind of walk our way through this in about 10 minutes or so if we can here, and give our listeners kind of an idea of some of the things that we uncovered. You know, we started with the timelines and we progressed from there.
Yes, we have the chain of command. There is a certain chain of command that our U.S. military follows, especially when it comes to a stand-down order. Now, we have outlined the entire chain of command from the president on down. All the people below the president have denied giving a stand-down order to go in and try to help the people trapped in Benghazi. So if all of those people refuse to give a stand-down order, and there are many who testified before Congress that a stand-down order was indeed given, that leaves one person and one person alone who could have given that order, and that is Barack Hussein Obama.
Now, when we looked at the timeline, we took the timeline from months before the attacks in Benghazi all the way through the attacks themselves, and then followed out after the attacks. Now, one of the most startling things we found in the timeline is that Hillary Clinton actually made a public statement blaming that YouTube video that nobody had seen for the attacks in Benghazi, and her first mention of that came at about 10:06 p.m. East Coast time, the night of the attacks. Folks, the attacks were still in progress at that time.
Yes.
They had not ended.
Yes, they blamed a video before the attacks had ended. This was pre-planned. The video was set to go. They had contacted everyone, set everything in place. They went on national TV while the attack was ongoing. How could you know what was the cause, or even insinuate a cause of the attack while an attack is ongoing? You can't.
You can't. It can't be done. I mean, the idea that this statement was made by Hillary Rodham Clinton while the attack was still in progress is very telltale of what was going on that night in the White House and in Washington, D.C. You know, some of the other things we found in the timeline, Diane, you discovered during the attacks what seems to be a glaring discrepancy involving Ambassador Chris Stevens and where he was during the attack. At one point, he was inside the consulate or the mission building. Then he appeared to be outside, and then what? Back in?
Then back in. First, they're saying he was found unconscious in a burnt-out room and that he had smoke inhalation and whatever. The next time they're saying, no, he was outside. Yet, in my piece, in my part of the piece where I did the timeline, I have a photo there taken by one of the assailants of Christopher Stevens alive, being pulled out of the building. But the timelines don't match Obama's time of when all this happened. This man was alive. He did not die at Benghazi in the compound. He was killed after.
Now think about that, folks. I mean, at one point he is being dragged out of the building through it looks like almost a side window. Okay, it was like an escape hatch built into the side of the building. And he was alive at that point, and yet it was reported later that his body was found inside that very building.
Yes, there was no way that man died inside the building. And by the way, the picture that I put up was not taken by someone on our site. It was taken by the enemy. And it is not a picture that we got from any magical place. It's on the internet if you know how to search it.
Now, you know, we spent, Diane, hours and days going through stuff and putting this series of articles together. It was 3 articles altogether on the Benghazi series. And we went through what happened before the attacks, the drawdown of our security people and how that had to happen, who they were replaced with, which was Ansar al-Sharia's February 17th Brigade. That's the enemy, folks. That's Al-Qaeda. We discussed the weapons to Al-Qaeda, quote-unquote, rebels in Syria to take down Gaddafi before this all took place. We went through the absolute lack of anybody else who could have been responsible for a stand down or a do not go order when it came to a rescue. We know what time these things were taking place. We have that in the articles. We discussed that on the show right here on Right Side Patriots on CPR.
Yes.
So all of this stuff, all of this material that we had gathered, we put together, we published it in our blogs, and then we did the show on it. And apparently, Diane, we were over the target because we heard later, a while later, we had Lieutenant Colonel Alan West as a guest on the show. And he had read our pieces. And what did he tell us about our investigative piece?
He said we were right on. We got it all correct. But what I want the people to know also, next to the picture that I put up, I also put up a video link. And in that video link, at 12:15 a.m., this is after they said Stevens was already dead in what they called the safe room. Okay, you can see him being pulled out alive at 12:15 a.m., hours after these people claimed it was a YouTube video. He had already died of smoke inhalation. You see him being pulled out. And at 48 seconds into the video, you can hear shouts of Allahu Akbar. That is the terrorist shouts that terrorists, not little YouTube videos about Muhammad, give. Allahu Akbar is the shout of terrorists. They knew that this was a terrorist attack. This had absolutely nothing to do with a poorly made, poorly fabricated YouTube video about Muhammad.
Folks, you can read those articles either in Diane's blog at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. You have to do a little scrolling back to find them. Or in mine, same thing.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Craig,
you've got
let me interrupt you. Let me interrupt you. On my blog now, on the top pages, I have a link directly into all the investigative reports that Craig and I have done. The Benghazi, the land grabs, the IRS, all of our stuff is in one neat little thing. All you have to do is click on investigative reports. You will be taken to the reports directly on my blog, and you will also be taken to the reports on Craig's blog, thenationalpatriot.com.
And you can do that on either one of our blogs, patriotfactor.blogspot.com, thenationalpatriot.com. I also have them up on the top, and you can read all of those, including the land grab series and the one we just did about a week ago or so, Diane, about the IRS, including the possibility that Ed Snowden might have a few emails that Darrell Issa and Trey Gowdy and some of those guys would like to get their hands on.
Exactly. But don't give out too much of that, because, you know, the drones are going to be circling overhead, I guarantee you.
You know, right now would be a good time, I think, to take a quick break. We'll do a little business here. Diane and I will go outside and check for drones. Michael's going to go out and serve coffee to the FBI. And folks, don't go anywhere, because when we come back, we're going to start getting into what took place today, and this will light your hair on fire. Diane and I and our special guest today, Michael Collins-Windsor, will be back in just a couple of minutes. Stay with us.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
I'm just an old black sheep from the family tree. I'm now a vet and a victim of society. it's back on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me, you need to step aside. Don't tread on me, you don't tread on me. From the Revolution War to the Middle East, I come back to a country that's lost its peace. And now here I stand on the promised land, free and a slave to Uncle Sam. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me, you need to step aside. Don't tread on me, you don't tread on me. Well, you think you know me, but you haven't got a clue. I stood and fought so that you would not have to. Don't tread on me, yeah, don't tread on me. You wanna judge me by my leathers and the steel I ride? Well, you don't know me, you need to step aside. Don't tread on me, now don't tread on me. Now don't tread on me, now don't tread on me. Yeah, the old Middle East is like a man down. The old W's, K-I-A's, F-I-A. And I fight little soldiers in a foreign land.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot with Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor, and our special guest tonight, Michael Collins-Windsor, the CEO of CPR Radio and CPR Worldwide Media. Folks, when we went to the break, we told you we were going to come back and we're going to talk about things that happened today. But before we get into that, Michael, I just want to verify things that are happening even as we speak. Right now, we are being cyber attacked. Am I right?
Yes, we are. And right now, I was just over in our control panel, and we have had over 500 attempts to break into our DNAS status file on our shoutcast panel. Okay, it is 60 unique IP addresses. So there's 60 individuals that are working hard right now to take us out.
So if you hear some glitches in the sound quality and stuff, folks, you know what's going on. That's why I wanted to bring that up. But we are, even as we speak, right now, we're being cyber attacked. Okay, so let's get into what took place this morning. I put out an article today, this afternoon. It's out there on thenationalpatriot.com. Diane also has it on her blog, thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. And this all began, I was sitting down, this morning. I was starting to work on my Friday Fume, an article I do every Friday. And by the way, there will not be a Friday Fume, and you're going to figure out why here as we go through this show. But I've just started work on it, and all of a sudden my Skype lights up, and Michael's on Skype. And he says to me, Craig, I'm fixing to get arrested today. And I said, okay, what'd you do? And what happened, Michael? You had just gotten a phone call.
Well, a little after 9:30 this morning, another staff member and I, we were conducting day's business, and the telephone rang. And he got into he turned his recorder on, and he was able to get a part of the conversation. But I was addressed, and it was the woman at the other, well, there was another woman that said, please stand by. Then another woman gets on and says, calls me by name and said, how are you doing? And I said, fine. And I said, who is this? And she addresses herself, and she said, "Do you know who I am?" I said, "Oh yeah, I know who you are, and I recognize your voice." And she said, "Look," she said, "we understand that this is what she said, that there is freedom of speech in the United States. However, when it goes to hurt national security, when lies are told about our government and our administration, then it becomes a serious matter." And I said, what lies are you talking about?" And she said that there are lies that have been told on your radio station about things. First thing that she said was about Benghazi. And I said, "Oh, really?" And then she went into the land grabs, and then she went on to a few other things. And I said, "You do realize that there are members of the government who have been on these shows that have verified the things that our snoopy reporters reported." Now, the lady who was at the other end of the phone, okay, was none other than Miss Valerie Jarrett, who is one of the senior advisors to the President of the United States. And she then proceeded to tell me that I was breaking the law, and listen, we had been warned, which that proved to me that the people who had been doing these things, and see, there's other things, folks, that you don't know. Not only had we had cars, and there was a car that was actually blown up. It was not mine, it was another staff member's, which it's very suspicious. But Craig's computer and 2 of mine were destroyed. Okay, so there's a lot more. This has been going on, and it's been something every single day where we've been attacked. Well, she threatened me. She said, apparently, she said, "You're not happy with our government and the way our government is ran." She
Really?
said, "Try the IRS." And so, and folks, you know, I'm a Christian fellow, but I can only be pushed so much. And I have been pushed, and I'm pushed, and I'm pushed, and I'm going to tell you right now, I ain't taking this shit no more. I'm sick of it, and I let her know this, and I called her everything except, well, I did, all right, and y'all heard,
Yes, he did.
The 2 of you heard and I was not very nice to her, and I've never talked to a woman like that in my life. She's trifling, and she is a sorry excuse for a human being. I don't like communists. I don't like socialists, and I'm sorry, but I did not take a bullet in my gut during the first Gulf War for these kind of people. I took it for my family, my home, my state, my country, and the 311 million people who are in this country who have a right to say what's on their mind. We have a right to agree to disagree. And exactly. I don't care if you're a Democrat, Republican, I don't care if you're straight, gay, or on the buy now, gay later plan, you got a right to your say. All right, whether I agree with you or not, but it was my duty as an officer in the United States Army to take that bullet, to support and defend the Constitution of the United States, and support and defend the United States of America. And I will do that. I take that oath seriously, even today, even though I'm not in service anymore. And I'm telling you right now, that is one trophy. That little hole in my gut, that little scar, is a trophy for me, and I value it. And I'm gonna tell you something. I was not nice to her. I was not nice. She told me.
Let me hang on here. Let me interrupt for just a quick second. When Michael says he was not nice, I'm telling you that might be the understatement of the decade right now.
She kept on about threatening me with the IRS. I said, look, your boss has got a pen and a phone. I said, well, look, bitch. I said, I've got a pen, a phone, and a motherfucking radio station. And that was my exact words. So,
yes.
You are our hero. You're our hero.
Let me tell you something, folks. While all this is going on, as some of you might have guessed, you haven't seen a lot of posts from me the past couple of days. I'm not home. I am actually traveling to a family affair. So, while this is going on, I'm on Skype, I'm on the phone, I have a computer balanced on my lap in the car, and no, I'm not the driver. I have a computer balanced on my lap in the car. Michael is calling out Valerie Jarrett. I swear, my son, who was driving, could hear the entire conversation, even though the phone was to my ear. But everything Michael said, he spoke for the American people. He called her out. He called this administration out in no uncertain terms. Everything that we have pent up in ourselves all these years, Michael let out. And believe me, when I said in the beginning of the show, Michael Collins-Windsor is America's hero. He is America's champion. But wait, folks, it gets even worse than what he just told you.
Now, Michael's going through all this with Diane in the car. Her son is driving Miss Daisy on a 3-day road trip.
Would you shut up with that, Bruce Lee Adams, please? Driving Miss Daisy my butt.
But look, Diane is in and out of cell range. She's dropping in. She's cutting out. She's and we're trying to get all this done, and one of our other staff members says, Michael, do you have that phone number that call came in from? Do you have that on a caller ID? And Michael says, I sure do. And we said, well, get us that, do a screen grab, take a picture, whatever you have to do, and get that to us. Now, if you go to thenationalpatriot.com right now and you look at the article that's at the top, it's called Regime Gone Rogue, America in the Balance. You will see that screenshot. You will see the number that's on that screenshot. And, just like we chase and trace these cyber hits that come at us, we did the same thing with that little phone number on that caller ID. And Michael, where did that number go?
Well, it went to the Vice President's office of the United States of America.
Now listen to this, folks. Valerie Jarrett, okay, the regime leader's henchwoman, calls Michael at home to threaten him with the IRS and all sorts of other things from the office of Joe Biden.
And this is the thing about it, Craig, is if she was not supposed to be on the road with Obama, it was very easy for her to pick up her phone and, be transferred through the White House switchboard. And I don't know if she was on the road or if she was actually there. And I don't know where the hell the heifer was at, okay? And yeah, I said heifer because she's a trifling heifer. All right, and I'll call her what she is.
Folks, you can look that up in your Southern dictionaries, trifling heifer, and you'll find Valerie Jarrett's picture there.
Okay, wherever she was calling from, it was routed through the White House switchboard. And we've got the map, and we've got the caller ID, the number on the caller ID that we traced the number back to, and Google Maps pinpointed it to the office of the Vice President of the United States of America.
Now think about that, folks. I want you to really think about this for a minute. We've got somebody threatening somebody from this regime. I mean, Valerie Jarrett is as high up in this regime as you can possibly be, and there are some people that think she is actually running the show, not Obama, okay? So you've got Valerie Jarrett calling an American citizen and threatening that citizen over that citizen's and Diane and my exercise of our First Amendment right to free speech. If this doesn't send chills down your spine, I don't know what will, because it's not just CPR, folks. It could be you next. You might be the one getting the phone calls next week. I mean, to tell you, this used to be America. This used to be the land of the free and the home of the brave, and the place where you could speak your mind, the place where you were protected from your government by what our founders and framers laid out for us 238 years ago. But under this regime, that does not seem to be the case anymore. Diane, I know you were absolutely stunned when you found out where that call was placed from.
I absolutely couldn't believe it. And we kept telling Michael, screenshot it. We need that number. Without that number, there's no credibility. We're just telling a story. But when we got that phone number, and when it got traced back, and we've got the maps, and we've got it all, people, you don't understand. Valerie Jarrett called the owner and the CEO of Right Side Patriots radio station, CPR Worldwide Media, and basically threatened him. And it gets worse, folks. This is the thing about it.
She threatened me. She threatened me with the IRS. But what the people do not know is that right after the Scott Walker recall election, 2 weeks to the day, my spouse and I were audited for 10 years. They don't audit you for 10 years. We were audited for 10 years because we worked closely with a group of individuals who was also a sponsor of this radio station to help get Scott Walker reelected. And I know that I'm in a different state than that, but every single state matters. I don't care if you were in Ohio or if you're in Alabama or if you're in Florida. Every election in the Senate and this Congress matters because they vote. You have to get involved, people. You have to be involved, not just in your own local hometown or your county or your state, but in every single state to get a good, solid, conservative person in that. And we've got to take the Senate back. And we've got to take the White House back in 16. We are in a constitutional crisis right now.
Yes.
Now,
yes.
In your ever so pleasant conversation with Valerie Jarrett, did she threaten you with anything other than the IRS? What were some of the other things she was telling you on the phone this morning?
Oh, she knew more about me than I knew about myself. Okay, and there were things that were said, but when she sent her goons after me, okay, they even threatened my parents.
We're going to get into that in a little bit here, but I right now I want to keep focused on this Valerie Jarrett situation because, there is nothing that woman does that Obama doesn't know about. I'm telling you right now, if she's not running the show, she's damn close to it. And when you get this kind of a call, now, folks, you've seen the posts on social media. This regime threatened people that work for Fox News. We know the NSA was spying on James Rosen over there. We know from Greta Van Susteren that there were threats made about her job and about other jobs at Fox News, right?
Absolutely. The threats go straight down to the lowest of reporters on little local papers. If you say anything bad about this regime, if you criticize the king, the dictator, in any way, shape, or form, they will come after you. We're all living proof of it. Free speech in America has been stopped by this man and his goons.
Well, Kenya can keep on saying whatever he wants to, but I'm going to tell you something, and I'm putting it to you because I know you're listening. It's like I told that wench earlier today, and I told you goons, you're going to put a bullet in my head to stop me. And it's like I told you, come get me. Come arrest me now. Make a martyr out of me. I'm sick of it. I'm not putting up with this shit no more. And neither is anyone in my staff. The more you ramp it up, the more they're going to ramp it up because I've turned these two loose. They've asked me, okay, let me tell you something. I will not say one word, no matter what they say on air. They're going after you. We're coming there. I'm telling you, I'm pissed.
Can you tell, folks? I mean, seriously.
And it gets worse for Michael today and worse for Craig and I. And this is only the tip of today's iceberg.
Now, Valerie Jarrett on the phone, threatening an American citizen, threatening with the IRS. And, this is a First Amendment issue, folks. This is not, like I said, it's not just about CPR. It's not just about Right Side Patriots. And it's not just about Michael Collins-Windsor or Diane or myself. This is about every single American, 315 million, whatever the count is today, million Americans that have a First Amendment right to express themselves. And this regime is so thin-skinned that they can't take it when somebody tells the truth. I mean,
well, the truth is not part of their vocabulary. They wouldn't know the truth if it came up and hit them upside the head.
Well, I'll tell you, they got a little dose of the truth today with Michael, and
Well, I am not politically correct. Never confessed to be, won't be. And it was even brought up the fact that they are suspicious of the fact that I've had involvement with the Ku Klux Klan. Let me tell you something. I'm a Jew. Why would the Ku Klux Klan want to have anything to do with me?
Well, to be specific, Michael is a Christian Jew, because he did say at the beginning of the show he's a Christian. He is a Christian Jew. So let's get that clear so no one says he said one thing at the top of the show and another thing now.
Yeah, but I don't care if you're a Christian Jew or not. Do you think the Ku Klux Klan will have anything to do? Because you know what the Ku Klux Klan thinks about the people of the Hebrew persuasion.
Exactly.
Well, and
exactly.
This is how insane this got today, folks. And trust me, you ain't heard nothing yet. But the thing in all of this, and Diane and I have been glued to this all day. Diane in the car, me here, sitting at my desk, Michael, the rest of our management staff at CPR, we have been glued to this thing all day like you would not believe. And it's been a trying day, and I won't kid you about that. But the one thing that kind of brought a smile to my face, and more than once today, folks, is you've got to understand this. Valerie Jarrett has people in the White House terrified. We've read the reports from other people that's just say, you walk on eggshells around the woman, because she can be volatile. She has this nasty streak in her. We know going into 2012, she was telling people it's our turn. We've got surprises for these conservatives. Things like this. Well, one person in America today did not walk on eggshells around Valerie Jarrett, and that's our guest, our special guest, and the CEO of our station.
I called
Michael
her a fucking bitch, if that's what you want to, what you're leading up to. And that ain't all I called her. I called her a fucking muskrat too, because the bitch is from Iran. No, I ain't putting up with her.
But what
I'm
guys,
just saying.
Wait.
What I'm saying here is, I'll bet it's been a long, long time since somebody spoke like that to Valerie Jarrett. Can you imagine the shock and awe on her face when Michael was going off?
And that was nice, what I wanted to call her.
Oh, man.
Well, you heard what I called her on tape. You heard it.
I heard it. I listened to the whole tape. I listened to that twice.
So did I, guys. And what Michael is saying on the air now is mild compared to what's on the tape.
I lost my religion today. I'm going to have to, number one, go see the rabbi, my preacher, and a Catholic priest to get absolved for this thing so I can get my religion back. I cussed so much today. There is, you know what? I'll use a good hell or damn anything just like anybody. I think it's good for the soul. But I'm going to tell you something. When you push me to using the kind of language that I did today, I've been pushed over the edge. And we are not going to stop. We're going to ramp it up. The more you turn up the heat, the more we're going to boil. I'm telling you, I'm pissed. And so are
And it gets worse.
The entire
And it gets worse, folks.
It does get
worse.
And I'll tell you what, let's take another quick break right here. This is going to be a real short break, folks, about a minute or so. And when we come back, we're going to tell you more about what went on today. And as bad as it is to get that kind of a phone call from Valerie Jarrett, of all people, and have that call actually come from the office of Vice President Joe Biden, of all things, it gets a lot worse, folks. Don't go away. We've got a lot more to cover on this show today. Right Side Patriots, Diane and myself and our special guest, Michael Collins-Windsor, will be back in just a minute.
Every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold.
Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over, to be the toughest,
the strongest,
the bravest in the world.
When we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 through its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us.
Like figure skating in Harlem.
Like youth enrichment services. Like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
Expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members.
Join Team Citi and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to citi.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience, to the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down. We have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to the second hour of Right Side Patriots special report on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
And we're back on CPR Worldwide Media, Right Side Patriots, Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor, and myself, Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot, along with our special guest today, the CEO of our radio station, CPR Worldwide Media, Michael Collins-Windsor. And Michael, during that break, that short break, you checked again. We've got more people trying to hack into the station even as we speak.
Since we've been on air, we've had 67 unique IP addresses trying to break into this station, almost 500 attempts.
Now that's, 7 new ones now in the last, 45 minutes?
Yeah.
7 new unique users.
And
So
I mean, they're trying. They don't because of what's coming up next. They don't want out. I'm telling you.
Folks, get close to the radio because you're not going to believe this. Now, we left off with the phone call from Valerie Jarrett. Now, Michael and I are on Skype. Diane's in the car. She's trying to stay connected. She's trying to, in between cell towers, and I mean, it's just a frantic mess at this point, trying to keep us all up to date with what's going on. And we're sitting here talking about it. Can you believe Valerie Jarrett called? Can you believe that came from Biden's office? And all of a sudden, we hear Michael's phone ring in the background. And Michael says, hang on. And he reaches over and he picks up the phone. And I'm telling you, what I heard next, for about the next 5 to 6 minutes, was absolutely the most blistering end of a phone conversation I have ever heard in my life. Paint started to peel off the walls in my office.
Yeah.
I mean, Michael, who was on the phone?
United States Secret Service.
So
now
that
came up as a private caller, is the way they did.
So we had no caller ID on that. This is what I call the palace guards. With Obama, it's not the Secret Service. This is the palace guards. So they pick up the phone, they reach out to touch someone, and this is maybe a half an hour after you get off the phone with Valerie Jarrett.
Exactly.
Okay.
And they basically told me to sit still. I mean, I got kind of nasty with them too.
Kinda.
Lost my religion with them, But the thing about it is threats were made. And I mean, and well, you heard me. I said, "Come get me, come put me in jail, please, come on." And
yeah, but it was nowhere near that calm, folks. I mean, I'm telling you, Michael is screaming at these people over the phone. I mean, absolutely screaming at them to come and get him. Come get me. I'm right here. You come get me right now. And I mean, it went on and on and on like this for 5 minutes. What were they saying on their end of the line, Michael?
Well, they were trying to tell me to calm down. And when you heard me when they told me to calm down, but the thing about it is they were saying that I was I had been disrespectful to a high-ranking member of this government, and they were telling me about federal laws that I was breaking because of my disrespect, blah blah blah. It just went on and on and on.
Okay, wait. Stop right there. What federal laws do we have on the books that say thou shalt respect anybody? Tell me one. I defy somebody from this government right now to tell us what one law is that deals with you must respect.
There is none. Point blank, there is none. There are rules of civility and decorum, and let's say at a public meeting, at a commission meeting, at a town hall meeting. But nowhere does it have to say you have to respect anyone, especially an elected official. Normally, when an elected official doesn't do their job, they're either voted out of office or, when they cross a line, they're impeached. A la Bill Clinton, a la Richard Nixon. Well, no, Richard Nixon resigned on his own, excuse me. Like Bill Clinton, they're impeached. But everybody in this Congress is afraid to touch this man because they're all afraid of the race card. Better America go down the tubes than dare to call out America's first black president, who isn't America's first black president, who is America's first mixed-race, biracial president. And maybe if they get that straight, maybe then some of them will get some guts and do the right thing, because this man, this regime is taking our country down and no one is doing anything about it. Well, guess what? Today, Michael Collins-Windsor stood strong against this regime and did a lot about it.
Well, now, you know what? You want respect, you got to deserve respect, okay? You got to, and she don't deserve mine or anybody else's respect. And we're getting people sending on information, everything, and saying that they've never seen. This number came from the White House switchboard. Okay, this was not the vice president's number or her particular number. This came directly from the White House switchboard. And if you go to Craig's article, you will see where the number originated.
Now, not only were you told that you were disrespectful, you were told that Diane and I were also disrespectful. And so apparently Diane and I have broken some law.
And also other staff members that are some of our talk show hosts that have been on there, because they have monitored all of our shows on CPR. Then they went off with me because I said that as the I ain't gonna say that because there's ladies listening. That I said that Bathhouse Barry or the president. I just basically said that he was a pillow biter. Okay, I basically said he was gay, and I said that Michelle is a man. I know a man when I see one. Arms, legs, feet, everything about her. She is a man. Now, I said it before Joan Rivers said it last week. Okay, so, but they reminded me of the fact that they were listening to one of my shows on a Tuesday night several months ago whenever I stated this, but I was being disrespectful to the president and his old lady. Or old man, whatever the hell he is.
In other words, they were getting on Michael because he just gave his opinion in a comical way. He gave an opinion, but God forbid you upset the sensibilities of Barack Hussein Obama. And yes, folks, well, I keep using Hussein. I just want everybody to know, in every article I write, I call him Barack Hussein Obama, because I want people to remember where this man's allegiances truly lie. And it's not with America. It's with his Muslim brethren.
You know, it's absolutely astounding when you really start boiling this thing down. Now, the Secret Service is on the phone with you. I'm listening on the other end. Diane's in and out of it because she can hear part of it, and then she goes between cell towers, and then she picks it back up. She hears some more of it, and I mean, folks, you know, everything you've ever wanted to say to somebody in this regime, Michael said, and there were some things that I had never heard before. There were some things I had to go to my Southern Dictionary to look up, make sure I had it right. You questioned the Secret Service guy. You questioned his parentage at one point. You certainly questioned hers. You questioned Obama's. You know, I mean, but folks, you got to understand, Michael, excuse me, Michael is literally telling them, come get me. Come here and get me now.
Well, guess what, folks? They did.
So they told you what, Michael? Sit still, shut up, and we'll be right there. Is that basically
That's exactly what they were here? It was about 45 minutes, wasn't it, before they showed up? Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say 45 minutes.
Yeah, but they were here for 90 minutes, though. They were here for 90 minutes.
Now during the 90 minutes, okay, I left the Skype open. So if there was, you know, anything to hear, you know, Michael screaming at him, them screaming at Michael, gunshots, whatever, that I'd be able to hear it, okay? And, you know, I couldn't hear a thing because they were in a whole different area than where, you know, Michael's computers, you know, and where his Skype was. But during that 90 minutes, now it wasn't just one Secret Service guy either, Michael. It was, what, 2 of the Palace Guards and two
FBI agents, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, you know, we were, before they got there, we told Michael, we said, you got to call your attorney, you got to get your attorney. And so your attorney was actually there when this all took place.
Yes, and my attorney told me he kept telling me to shut my mouth, but, you know, sometimes I don't listen.
Yeah, we've all seen how that works tonight. Yes. So it's you, the attorney, 2 of the Palace Guards, 2 FBI goons. Okay. Now, describe that conversation and what was going on during and this is an hour and a half of this, folks. Go ahead, Michael.
Well, there was a lot to it. Basically, I mean, they ran down things that happened whenever I was in the military. An instance that happened that they said that I disobeyed a direct order from a superior. You got to understand, whenever I was trained that a Russian was the lowest thing on the face of the planet, that a communist was. We had just got out of a Cold War with these people. Then the next day, they're expecting us to be their best friends. When we were over there, okay, I was ordered to turn the computers that for our section over to a Russian captain and 2 lieutenants, and I refused. I refused a direct order. And if it hadn't been for my uncle who was in the Pentagon, I probably would have gotten court-martialed. But I refused to do it. So I just rewrote some stuff, but they did know what we had for lunch that day and how much toilet paper we had, and that's about all the Russians got out of our stuff. But you know, the problem with today was not only did they go back with, they were trying to say that I had problems with this government, that I had which I do have problems with this government, but I let them know one thing: I love the United States of America more than my life itself. And I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States until the day I die. They threatened my parents.
Now let's get into that, because this is how far this regime is sinking. How did they threaten your parents?
All right. My father is suffering with a physical ailment right now, and so is my mother. My father served in the National Guard for many, over 30 years. And the health care that they have goes through the VA. All right. And my mother's got an operation, matter of fact, tomorrow morning. And all of that was threatened. They threatened my family. Of course they threatened me, but they threatened me with jail time. And I kept telling them, please, I can't walk in the room with my hands out for the cuffs. Put me in jail, please. We've got this ready, because as soon as you do, we're going to come out. But I told them that if anything happens to a single member of this staff or your families, if anything happens to a member of my family or any of our friends, anything that can be linked to something suspicious, they're getting the blame for it, and they're going to get the blame for it on air. It's just that simple. It's just that simple. You step it up, we're going to step it up.
Well, and you told them, from what you told us afterwards, you told them, this is going to go out over the air. We're going to talk about this, right?
Yeah, I said, you do know that this is going to, that we're going to broadcast this today. Before this day is over, this will be broadcast. You do know. Just keep right on going, and because the more you do, the more we're going to do. And I said, one of two things are going to happen right now. You are either going to arrest me and put me under the jail, or you're going to put a bullet through my brain. So you make up your mind right now what you're going to do.
Now, all through this, I mean, you are fit to be tied at this point. If these people heard what the way you talked to Valerie Jarrett, they had heard nothing yet. Because you opened up a whole new can of whoop ass.
Yes.
On those 4.
Craig, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. We cannot even do our jobs right. Our shows are being hit. Remember when they broke into our website and the crap that they put in their website? They even locked Craig and I completely out of our own damn website. And if we hadn't had a back door, we couldn't have even got back in there. They have done everything to us.
Now, all through this, your attorney is telling you to calm down. How'd that work?
Well, finally, after it was all over, he said, why are you paying me? And I said, I know I did not do everything that you asked me to do. I said, however, mainly the reason why you're here is because when they put me in jail, you guys are the ones got to come get me out. Okay, but at least I needed him there as a witness, so he could be able to say, because I don't know what's going to happen. Y'all know what's been happening with our licensing. Y'all know exactly what's been going on with your shows, with other people's shows. We had a member Okay, there's one other little point that we failed to mention. When week before last, your show goes on, we had a member of our staff who had to go to attend a doctor's appointment was holding air. Okay, and was playing streaming music. Okay, I went to kick them, could not kick them off air to turn air over to you. Right. Okay, soon as, now I didn't ban this IP address, there was nothing done. So I went in, I turned the station off, turned it back on, turned air over to you. When he got back, he could not hold air more than 1 minute. There was all kind of tests ran on his computer. There was nothing wrong with it. But they were hitting him right, just constantly. Then, when they pulled our license again, that following, was it Saturday or Sunday, they pulled our license. Okay, as soon as we got our it was on Monday. As soon as we got our license back that Monday, after being off for 2 hours, he's been able to stream since. So you can't tell me that they were not messing with his IP address and his computer.
Of course they would.
All of this is going on. Michael is telling us after the FBI goons and the Palace Guard leave, he's telling us what's going on, and he's still thinking, and I guarantee you right now, he's still thinking at any time they could come back and take him away in handcuffs. And I'll tell you how, this is the way my mind works on things like this, folks. I told Michael this afternoon when he was telling us this story about how this conversation went, I said, you do realize that if you get arrested, they give you one phone call. And I said, that one phone call you cannot make until Diane and I get on the air and you call the show.
Yeah, I gotta wait a week in the jail, but 3 hots and a cot, and plus I get a little vacation here, so.
But now these guys they're threatening you. They're threatening your family. They also, and correct me if I'm wrong, but they also threatened you with the IRS.
Oh yeah, that's a definite. They definitely threatened that. They pull out. This administration uses the IRS like a pair of damn 6-shooters, like Marshall Dillard and Dodge City would have. That's what they do, and I'm telling you, when Bathhouse Barry got up there and said that there was no scandal, he is a friggin' liar. They use the IRS like a pair of 6-shooters against the American people.
This is our government, folks. This is the regime that is in charge of our nation. Right now, today, it was Michael Collins-Windsor, it was Diane, and it was me and a couple other members of our staff. It was CPR Worldwide Media. Tomorrow, it could be you. You speak out, you write an article or two, you say something in public, and guess what? You might be next. That's why we're bringing this to you tonight. This is not to talk about us, even though this is about us today. This is to talk about our country. What we're trying to do, folks, is we're trying to get our country back. The tactics that were used today, the tactics that have been used against us and against other Americans, we are by no means alone in this, folks. Look at the people that were targeted by the IRS. Good American people targeted by the IRS. Look at Ambassador Stevens, Sean Smith, Glenn Doherty, and Tyrone Woods. Literally targeted in Benghazi. Look at the American people that have been targeted already. Today they picked on somebody with a microphone. That's their problem, not ours. All right? Michael was livid today. We're livid tonight over this because we see America slipping away. And if we don't take the Senate back in November of this year and we don't take the White House back in 2016, we're not going to be doing shows like this because we won't be allowed to do shows like this. Right now, we're barely allowed to do this show. We're being attacked, cyber attacked, even as we do it tonight. This is unacceptable in America. Our founders and our framers are spinning in their graves tonight because of this regime.
Well, I just want you folks to know that I just got a message from somebody.
Oh?
This is a big deal about nothing. Can you believe this? This story isn't over yet, folks. There's more that happened to Michael today. Very, very serious things that happened to Michael today. And I'm getting a message. This is much ado about nothing. People, this happened to Michael. You could be next. If this government can overstep their bounds at this point now, what are they going to do next? This is almost like Nazi Germany. Think about the connection.
This is the Soviet Union from the mid-1970s is what we're dealing with here, folks. And you could hear the breakup right there in Diane's voice when she was speaking. You could hear things starting to shake and twitter. That's because we're getting attacked right now. They don't want this out in public. They do not want this out in public. But damn it, we're not going to stop. We've still got more to talk about here tonight. But Michael, they're there in your house. They're in your house. They wanted your computers. But
they did not have a search warrant when they were in the house today. But they told me that if they decide that they want the computers in this house, that they would get them.
Okay.
Now they told us this.
Now this is very important because as we get into the next segment, the final segment of this show tonight, what Michael just said is going to be very important. I'm not going to tell you why right now, but trust me, what he just told you, they were in his house, they wanted his computers, they could not touch them because they lacked a search warrant to do so. That is going to play huge in the very next segment of this show. Folks, we're going to take another quick break here in just a second, and we're going to get into the final segment of this show tonight, because these tactics that are being employed by the current regime, and by Obama, by Valerie Jarrett, by his goons in the FBI, by the Palace Guard, otherwise known as the Secret Service. This is unacceptable in this country. It is completely unacceptable. This is what conservatives have been saying is going to happen since this guy got in office. And here it comes, folks. It's happening. I'm telling you, I'm almost as mad as Michael, and I would be if I'd have been there when all this was going on. But Diane and I are livid. Michael's had it. And we're not going to sit down, and we are not going to shut up. Folks, stay with us. Right Side Patriots will be back after this quick timeout.
Dad, Katy Perry is coming to town. Can we get tickets, please?
Tickets? Sure. How many?
Well, there's Hannah and Maddie and Jen and Sarah and Sarah.
Whoa, hold on. Here it comes. We can't forget about your older sister.
Thank you.
Seriously? What? I get 2 times the thank you points on each ticket. Can I come? Yeah.
The City Thank You Preferred Card. Now earn 2 times the points on entertainment and dining out with no annual fee. To apply, go to city.com/thankyoucards.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Sometimes I wanna light up underneath the no smoking sign. Sometimes I wish they'd tell me how justice got so blind. I wish they'd just leave me alone, 'cause I'm doing alright. You can take your change on down the road and leave me here with mine. 'Cause that ain't my America, that ain't this country's roots. You wanna slam old Uncle Sam, but I ain't school, $100 tanks of gas. I can tell you right now, this country ain't supposed to be like that. No, that ain't my America. That ain't this country's roots. You wanna slam, hold on to Sam, but I ain't letting you. Yeah, I'm mad as hell, and you know I still bleed red, white, and blue. They ain't us, and that ain't my America. Oh no, that ain't my America. No, 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 no. That ain't my America.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen and Diane Sori, along with the CEO of CPR Worldwide Media, Michael Collins-Windsor, our special guest tonight. And I got to tell you guys, the cyber hits just keep on coming while we're doing this show. I guarantee you at this point we are lucky we're still on the air. I haven't seen it be this jumpy in a long, long time. As we went to break, Diane had just gotten a couple of text messages from a listener saying, hey, this is no big deal, right, Diane?
Yes, and I can't believe that someone can have the audacity to text me as Michael is telling what is going on today, as Craig and I are telling what is going on today, as what has been going on for quite a long time now. And this man has the audacity to say this is no big deal, this is all a fake. Are they kidding? Police reports have been filed, FBI reports have been filed, the lawyers are in there, everything has been filed. How dare someone say this is no big deal? I am actually fuming here. How dare someone say an American citizen, Michael Collins-Windsor, is attacked, basically what amounts to an attack by our federal government, and some liberal has the audacity to say this is nothing? I'm just fuming, folks. Absolutely fuming.
I wonder if he would think it was a big deal if the FBI showed up at his door, or if the Secret Service showed up at his door, or if Valerie Jarrett called from the Vice President's office to tell him to sit down and shut the hell up. This is what we're dealing with in this country, folks. This is a big deal. The idea that somebody is going to say, well, this... Michael, did you see badges today?
Oh, yeah.
Did you see official accreditation identification?
Oh, yeah. They were the real deal.
Did your attorney see this stuff today?
He wrote everything down. I mean, he was sitting there taking notes. As a matter of fact, his secretary was there, and she was taking everything down in shorthand. I mean, it was interesting. It was very, very interesting.
If you go and look at the article I put up earlier today, thenationalpatriot.com, you will see the caller ID that leads directly to Joe Biden's office. Folks, this is a big deal.
And no one is saying Joe Biden is connected in this. No one has said one word about Joe Biden being connected in this. All we're saying is the call came through his office. Those are two different things. Through the switchboard. That is two different things entirely. And I really take offense of anyone doubting what we're telling you, because we have every bit of documentation. The lawyers have every bit of documentation. And people, you know what? I hope it happens to people like them. Then they're going to come crying and say, wah, we should have listened.
This is the First Amendment. We're talking about tyranny in government. When they take the First Amendment and throw it under the bus, when they tell American citizens you no longer have the right to speak your mind, You think that's not a big deal?
This president is just another wallpaper hanger like Hitler, Mussolini, Stalin, Lenin, Mao. The list goes on. He's just another wallpaper hanger. That's all he is. That's what this regime is. That's what the people of the United States voted in office. I want to ask anyone out there who voted for this son of a bitch, and yeah, I said it, and I meant it. Do you want to live in a communist country? Do you want to be able to be told what you can and you can't do? Is your damn Obama phone and your $189 worth of food stamps worth being a slave to this individual? I mean, I'm asking you, what the fuck is going on here? We are America. We are Americans, and we don't take shit, and we're not going to, and we're going to take this country back one way or another.
Michael, you need to tell them the ultimate kicker of what happened to you this afternoon, because if this part, guys, doesn't get to you, in addition to what everything Michael, Craig, and I have told you this evening, this part should really scare the hell out of everybody.
We were sitting there, and basically, we had gone, like I said, gone on for 90 minutes. And finally, I said, gentlemen, we're going over the same things over and over and over and over. I said, this interview is concluded. Either you take me to jail now or get the hell out of my house. It's just that simple. I said, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. Okay, after they left, I spoke with my attorney a little bit. I'm sitting here, and where our home office for CPR is located in a group where there's all Victorian homes. Most of them have been converted to where they're Victorians, but you got doctor's office, lawyer's office, CPR's out there as well. But there's also individuals who live out there. There was an entire retired school teacher who voted for Obama. Let me make that perfectly clear, who now would like to choke him, okay? And if she didn't say she's going to, I'm just telling you how she feels. She wishes she had not voted for him. She called my home office and told me there's a locksmith's truck out there in front of your office parked on the wrong side of the road. There is a black van out there, and it's U.S. government folks, and they are breaking through the front door of your office as we speak. My other half and my personal secretary, and also our home office and some of our security folks went out there. I called my attorney diverted. He was a few blocks away, went over there. They did have a warrant.
Now,
they took 2 computers from that office, one that belonged to our office manager and also our production room computers.
Now let me stop you right there, because this is where I told you before the break, folks, that the business that they wanted to do in the house, they wanted Michael's computers in the house. They were unable to do so because they did not have a warrant. By the time they got to the office, they had a paper warrant to get those computers. Think about that.
They were there for 2.5 hours because my people, they stayed there until they left. Now, they didn't tear the office up or anything like that. They did want access to the mainframe. And they went through, and the only thing that is on that mainframe other than our financial records there's copies of our shows, because there's several hard drives that are in there. There are copies of all of the shows since CPR has been in existence. But we had backups, everything else, that's fine. And the only thing that actually was lost today was he was working with some email addresses and all, and he lost that because he did not backed up since this morning. But they did take 2 of the computers from the home office.
Now, Diane, think about this, and I want you to explain this to people. When they're at the house, when they're at Michael's house, they have no warrant. They have no paper to serve to get those computers.
Right.
A half an hour later, when they're at the office, they've got paper. How fast do you think a warrant can be delivered on a normal basis?
Not that fast. You have to go before a judge, you have to present your case, and then the judge has to make a decision. This time frame is as screwy as the Benghazi time frame. In order to get a warrant as fast as these people did, they had help from the inside. And guess where the inside had to come from?
Now, they could have gotten a warrant from a federal judge, and we know that the Obama regime has federal judges in their back pocket. They could have also gotten that paper that quickly from the Department of Justice. We do not know where they got it from, but we know they had it. 30 minutes prior, they had no paper.
Exactly.
A 30-minute drive to the office, and they've got paper. What does that tell you, folks? You could be next. Okay, Michael, go ahead.
Well, when they took the computers, they thanked us. Now, there was a receipt that was given with, and they had the make, model number of the computer. My attorney did tell me that earlier this evening of what that he's got, but they handed it to my spouse. However, my spouse handed it to my attorney and said, "You keep this." Okay, we changed the alarm system, and now let me tell you something. When they went in, they contacted the alarm company and had them shut the alarm off. They did, and it had to be done remotely because they didn't have a code to do it. And my attorney did not have the code to the alarm, so it was a good, I'd say, 45 minutes before the folks here from our property got down there. Okay, so but the alarm was off, and we've reset the alarms, we've reset the passwords and everything else, and we've locked up. They did not kick any doors down. They used a locksmith to go in, and our locks were changed this evening on every single door to that building.
Exactly. Now, Michael, you also need to tell them, while the goons, for lack of a better word, Craig calls them the palace guards, while they were there talking to you, or should I say questioning you, people need to know exactly what they were questioning you about what shows they were questioning you about. This will show the targeting. This will show that we got it right, and they are shaking in their boots that we hit everything on the head.
Well, they were questioning, number one, they kept asking who was our inside source that was giving the two of you information. They asked that many, many times. They wanted to know who is this, and I'll tell you, the guy, because it was heated. It was very heated, and they were very professional at first, but once it got heated, okay, the guy, he started using some profanity. And he said, "I don't care who you think you are. I want to know who the fucking whistleblower is. There's no way they got this information without somebody on the inside telling them this, because they're telling lies on this government. And this is a threat to national security." But they also questioned Eric Rush's show. They questioned John Matthews' show. They also questioned Conservative Commandos and Kate Delaney's America Tonight. Okay, these were the shows that they questioned, and my show, because of the fact that I said some things that were disrespectful to the commander and whatever you want to call him.
Okay, hold on a second, Michael. You just said something very interesting. Okay, they wanted to know who our whistleblower was, but yet
that word was used.
Okay.
Let me make it perfectly clear, that word was used.
Okay, they wanted to know who our whistleblower was, and yet at the same breath, but the whistleblower's not telling the truth. Here it was a whistleblower, but that whistleblower is not telling the truth. I want this to be known on the air, folks, and Craig does also. We have no whistleblower. Everything we put out can be found on the internet if someone knows how to navigate the sites. We spent hours, days, piling through information from all over the world about Benghazi, about the land grabs. All we did was put it together. And because we put it together, and because we nailed it on the head, in fact, many people have come on our show and said, you guys nailed it. We were the first to put it together, and they are scared because now the truth is out there.
If you want to know where we got our information, you can read those articles. Diane's got them listed at the top of the Patriot Factor. I've got them listed at the top of the National Patriot. And you can go in there and you can see we put the links in there to the material that we read, that we pulled information from. Folks, if those people today that were standing there in Michael's house, if they want to know who the whistleblower is, they should read the Senate intelligence report on Benghazi. We did.
And it's a beaut, guys. It's long, it's detailed, but most of the information is in there. You just know how to pull it. You need to know how to pull it apart. I will admit, and it's on my page, the timeline did not come from there. The timeline came from a British source that is online for anyone to see. All you have to do is to have the time, the dedication to getting to the truth. It's not easy to navigate these things, folks. We're not going to lie to you. It's not easy to get into different sites, especially sites from other countries, but it can be done. It's not hidden. It's there in plain sight, but nobody put it together. The mainstream media didn't want to touch this. Even Fox News didn't want to touch it, but we put it together and we put it out there.
You want to know where our sources are? Read the articles. You want to read those sources for yourself. And we know you're listening. We know the same people that were in Michael's house today were listening right now. You want to read those sources? Go look at the British sources that we compiled from. Go look at the Israeli sources that we compiled from. These are public documents. These are reports that were put out by their governments that are public.
Exactly.
You can go find them. We did. We read them. Damn it, you should read them too. You want to know what's going on in your government? Read those sources. We did.
But that's the thing, Craig. They don't want to know what's going on in our government because they work for the regime. They're not working for the United States of America government. They are working for a regime. These people do not want the United States of America. They want to bring her down. They
we
want
listen
bring
to the
the
press
American
secretary
people down.
and MSNBC too.
Oh, all of them. All of them are complicit. They're all complicit. Maybe not by doing anything bad like Fox. You know, they have done little reports here and there. But even Fox is afraid to put out the truth. To put out the truth about the murders of Christopher Stevens, Sean Smith, Glenn Dougherty, and Tyrone Woods. They do not want the truth out there. Well, guess what, folks? We put it out there, and they are scared that we put it out there. Maybe now people will read what we wrote, and they'll say, oh, my God, these people got it. This regime has got to be stopped.
And let me tell you something. It comes as no great surprise to me, and I know it doesn't come as any great surprise to Diane or Michael either, and it shouldn't come as any great surprise to those who are listening tonight. These attacks on Michael, on CPR, these allegations against Diane and myself, the squashing of our First Amendment, all tracing back to the Benghazi show and the Benghazi articles, comes at a time when Trey Gowdy is preparing to go in depth in the Benghazi investigation. Folks, they don't want this information out there. They don't want people to know what we found out, what we figured out. They don't want to see the picture that is made by connecting the dots that Diane and I connected on Right Side Patriots.
They send their errand boys to do their dirty work to try to find out where we're getting our information from. And that's all these people were that came. And one other thing, too, the two individuals that walked into the office today were different from the two individuals that were in my house today. So that's 4 separate FBI agents. They're errand boys. They work for the regime. They're doing exactly what their boss, Miss Jarrett, and Hussein are telling them to do.
They want to know
They're
who our
afraid.
source is. They want to know who our government source is. You know who our government source is? You jackasses. It's Barack Hussein Obama.
It's the report. It's the Senate report. People take the time to read it. It's boring. It's detailed. Some of it you might not understand, but it's all in there. And you should see how many pages have been redacted, how many lines have been redacted. They are keeping things from the United States Senate. But you know what? We were able to take that redacted lines, not look at the redacted lines, but we were able to piece it together and then go into the internet and find out, gee, this fits in perfect with what's redacted. This is not rocket science, folks. It can be done. The media should have been doing this all along. The entire media should have been doing this, but they sat back and they did nothing. Well, guess what? We did their jobs for them.
We connected the dots. We put it out there in our blogs. We talked about it on CPR, on Right Side Patriots. We have had people like Lieutenant Colonel Alan West tell us we hit the target. We've had people like Jim Garrow tell us we've hit the target. Waleed Shubat told us we hit the target. Colonel Jim Harding told us we hit the target. I can go on. But they also have read these reports. They have also seen this information. They have also talked to people. We got it right. Now the regime is scared. Trey Gowdy is ready to launch his investigation, the Select Committee investigation. Truth is going to come out, folks, and you're going to find out that what Diane and I put in those articles and what we talked about on Right Side Patriots right here on CPR, we hit the nail on the head. But let me tell you this, too. When the FBI starts coming to your house, when the Secret Service starts coming to your house and your office and taking your computers, if you don't think it's a big deal tonight, you will then.
Exactly. This can happen to any American citizen under this regime. We are losing our country, folks. We are losing it. It's time everyone in this country start focusing on the important things. You need to put your social issues behind you for now until we get our country back. If we don't take back that Senate in November, it's over, because the pen and the phone will be working every single day. And bit by bit, your rights, your liberties will be taken away from you until we're no better than a third world country, because that's what this regime wants to do to America.
And let me explain one more thing in the few minutes that we have left tonight. If you're a liberal and you're out there listening, and we know you are, what we're doing at CPR, what Diane and I do every day in the Patriot Factor and the National Patriot, and every time we open a microphone on this radio station, what Michael has dedicated himself to is taking back this country, but not just for conservatives. If you're a liberal out there and you're listening, and we know you are, we're trying to save this country for your ass too. The rights that we're trying to protect, what we're talking about tonight is the First Amendment, your right to free speech. And let me tell you something. When they're done taking it away from conservatives like Diane, conservatives like me, conservatives like Michael Collins-Windsor, they're going to come after your First Amendment rights. You thought we were kidding about Obamacare? That it wasn't going to be that bad? That it wasn't going to take money out of your pocket? You thought we were kidding. Well, guess what? We weren't. And they came after you too, didn't they, you liberals? They did. You think this IRS targeting thing is just a one-time only deal? Oh, no. Oh, no. When they're done with conservatives, when they've got all the money they can get from conservatives, they're coming after yours. That's the way socialism and communism work. That's why we're dedicated to taking this country back. We're not just standing up for conservatives. We're standing up for all 315 million Americans. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on.
And we're doing it for our children and our grandchildren. We're doing it for America's future. It's not all about us, folks. It's about our children. It's about our grandchildren. It's about making sure this country has another 238 years. Because if it keeps going on like this is going to be the death of America.
We want to thank our CEO, Michael Collins-Windsor, for joining us tonight, telling this story. Michael, I know this has not been a great day, but I'm telling you, we're going to make this better. We're going to get this country back because of people like you. And, when they come knocking on your door like they did on Michael's today, you'll think about this show, folks. You really will. Michael, thank you for being with us.
No
Exactly.
problem, Rick. I'm only one little small guppy in a great big pond, but I'm gonna tell you something. The shark is out there, and he's going after all of the little guppies out there.
Exactly.
And I'm gonna tell you something. He's gonna take a big bite too. Remember
Michael,
that, folks. They want everything you got. They want you to send you in to the pits of slavery. This is not just us trying to be dramatic. This is the honest to God's truth. They want us on our knees to bow down and worship them. They want the few elite, what they call the elite, to be able to control this whole nation. And I ain't bowing to nobody.
Nobody. And Michael, I just want to leave you with this. It is an honor and a privilege to work for CPR and to call you friend.
I feel I feel the same way about the two of you. And I'm gonna say this, and so everybody within the sound of my voice can hear it. Y'all turn loose. You do what you gotta do. Let's take this country back. Let's do this.
Folks, that's it for our show tonight. The special report from Right Side Patriots on CPR Worldwide Media, but stay tuned, because directly following this song, we are going to recast the Benghazi show that brought this all about, and you don't want to miss it. Folks, thank you for joining us tonight. For Diane Sorey, for Michael Collins-Windsor, and the rest of the staff and management at
they've been doing are not good for you. you and me. Together we are united. Together we are strong. With one voice we'll stand up against everything that's wrong. Time to stand up, time to speak out. We've gotta fight to get it back. Gotta reach out, get the peace out. This country's